There's a certain allure to self-help. It whispers promises of a better you, a happier life. It dangles the possibility of transformation, of finally achieving your full potential. Who wouldn't be seduced by such a tempting offer? I know I was. For years I dove headfirst into the world of self-help, convinced it held the answers to all my problems. I devoured books, attended seminars, and hung on every word of charismatic gurus. I truly believed I was on the path to a better life. I had no idea I was stepping onto a slippery slope. Looking back, I understand why self-help initially appealed to me. Life hadn't been easy. I faced my share of challenges, and like many, I yearned for a sense of control, a way to navigate the complexities of life. Self-help, with its clear-cut formulas and step-by-step guides, offered a comforting illusion of control. It promised to equip me with the tools to overcome any obstacle, to achieve happiness and fulfillment. I gravitated towards self-help during a particularly difficult period. I was reeling from a painful breakup, my career was stagnant, and I felt lost and alone. Self-help books became my companions, their words offering solace and guidance. I clung to the idea that if I just followed the advice, if I worked hard enough on myself, I could transform my life. I believed that happiness was a destination and self-help was the roadmap. The world of self-help is brimming with charismatic figures, each with their own unique brand of wisdom. They are master storytellers, weaving narratives of personal triumph over adversity, of achieving unimaginable success through sheer willpower and positive thinking. Their stories resonated deeply with me, fueling my desire for a similar transformation. I attended seminars led by renowned self-help gurus, their energy infectious, their words imbued with an almost evangelical zeal. They spoke of the power of manifestation, of attracting wealth and abundance through positive affirmations and visualization. They promised to unlock my hidden potential, to help me become the best version of myself. I was swept up in the excitement, eager to absorb their wisdom and apply it to my own life. I believed them wholeheartedly. Under the influence of self-help, I began to view my life through a new lens. Every setback, every negative emotion was reframed as an opportunity for growth, a chance to learn and evolve. While this initially felt empowering, it also led to a relentless pursuit of self-improvement, a constant striving for a better version of myself that always seemed just out of reach. I meticulously tracked my progress, setting ambitious goals and berating myself for any perceived failure. I adopted a relentless positivity, suppressing any negative emotions that threatened to derail my carefully constructed self-improvement plan. I was so focused on achieving the idealized version of myself that I failed to appreciate the present moment, the beauty of my perfectly imperfect life. The self-help teachings, once a source of inspiration, were slowly morphing into a set of rigid rules, a yardstick against which I constantly measured my worth. Section 5. The price of unrealistic expectations. The self-help industry thrives on selling a seductive yet ultimately unattainable promise. The idea that we can achieve perfect happiness, unwavering confidence, and effortless success if we simply follow the right formula. This relentless pursuit of an idealized self, however, can be incredibly damaging. It sets us up for disappointment, fueling a constant sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. The more I immersed myself in self-help, the more acutely aware I became of my perceived flaws. I compared myself to the seemingly perfect lives portrayed on social media, to the success stories shared in self-help books. The gap between my reality and these idealized images fueled a deep sense of shame and inadequacy. I felt like I was failing at self-improvement, that I wasn't trying hard enough, that I wasn't good enough. The very tools that promised to empower me were in fact chipping away at my self-esteem. Section 6. Drowning in a sea of advice. One of the most insidious aspects of the self-help industry is its sheer volume. There's an overwhelming amount of information out there, a constant barrage of advice on every aspect of life. This can be incredibly overwhelming, leading to analysis paralysis and a sense of being lost in a sea of conflicting opinions. I found myself bouncing from one self-help guru to another, each offering their own unique spin on the path to happiness and fulfillment. I tried countless techniques, adopted numerous strategies, but nothing seemed to stick. The constant influx of information left me feeling confused and overwhelmed. I was drowning in a sea of advice, unsure which direction to swim. Instead of finding clarity and direction, I felt more lost than ever. Section 7. The crushing weight of failure. The self-help industry often promotes the idea that we are solely responsible for our own happiness. While personal responsibility is important, this message can be incredibly damaging when taken to an extreme. It can lead to self-blame, making us feel like failures if we're not constantly happy, successful, and fulfilled. When my life inevitably threw curveballs my way, when I faced setbacks and disappointments, I internalized these experiences as personal failures. I blamed myself for not being positive enough, for not visualizing my success with enough conviction. The self-help teachings, once a source of hope, now felt like a heavy weight, a constant reminder of my perceived shortcomings. I was trapped in a cycle of self-improvement and self-recrimination, my self-worth inextricably linked to my perceived success or failure. Section 8. Silence the inner critic, embrace the real. It took me a long time and a great deal of pain to break free from the clutches of self-help. The turning point came when I finally allowed myself to acknowledge the toxicity of the messages I had internalized. I realized that the relentless pursuit of self-improvement had become a form of self-sabotage, preventing me from accepting and appreciating myself for who I was. I began to question the unrealistic expectations I had placed upon myself, the idea that I needed to be constantly happy, productive, and achieving. I started to challenge the negative self-talk that had become my inner monologue, replacing it with words of compassion and self-acceptance. It was a slow and difficult process, but with each step, I felt the weight on my shoulders lighten. I was finally starting to breathe. Section 9. Finding peace in imperfection. Letting go of the self-help illusion was the most liberating decision I ever made. It allowed me to embrace my imperfections, to accept that life is messy and unpredictable, and that true happiness comes from embracing the fullness of our human experience, both the light and the shadow. Today, I no longer strive for an idealized version of myself. Instead, I focus on cultivating self-compassion, on being present in the moment, and on appreciating the simple joys of life. I've learned that true peace comes not from achieving some unattainable standard of perfection, but from accepting ourselves, flaws and all. It's a journey, not a destination, and it's a journey worth taking.